they need to succeed, which limits the fulfillment of their potential, and with how they can prove the influence that they can have on the society. I must say that the media, it plays a big part in how women are being treated in all societies. Media content and regulation, for example, they tend to focus merely on concerns revolving around freedom of expression and data protection. They fail to account the adverse effects media content has on giving equality to women. Stereotyping. It's one of the main issues since time immemorial, that even at the advent of the digital age, the role of women as portrayed in television, print, and the internet still hasn't changed. In fact, new technologies are eventually paving way to the creation of more potential risks that magnify violence against women, one way or another. Advancing the full involvement of women in the political, economic, and social arena is the best way to promote gender equality. I grew up in a society where gender inequality has been a constant matter. The past 50 years, they showed us the clear disparity between the realization of the needs of the women versus what the state can give them in terms of services and protection. Violence against women is something that Filipino women have to contend with on a daily basis. The height of the reproductive bill issue, for example, that's supposed to empower women, most importantly those in the first sectors where fertility rates very high. It's one proof that as to how the state sees women. Do I uphold to that kind of upbringing or deviate from it? I am a woman of the 21st century, and I certainly deviate to this type of cultural upbringing. I believe that women, being equal with men, deserve the right to proper and enough education, should have equal opportunities as with men in the workplace, deserve the right to have a good balance between home and work, should be able to genuinely express their talent, endure childbirth, and live a life free from any type of violence. Being an advocate of women empowerment, I believe, is one of my best assets. Ever since I joined the corporate world, never did I think that being a woman should be a hindrance to make me achieve what I want. I actually believe in the mantra that if you want to fly, you have to give up the shit that weighs you down. And if that shit is gender inequality, be it in the workplace or in our everyday lives, then you certainly have to flush it out of your system. I once applied for a business development position in a big BPO company, wherein I was turned down because they said they think business development is more of a man's work and that this job is more popular with men. In that company, they haven't really experienced having a woman BD officer. Most of the women in that department merely work in administrative tasks, so obviously they chose a man for that post. It's just so funny that after 3 years, my expertise is on the same field, and I was able to build my own company with me as the head of the business development department. One thing I noticed in the corporate world, at least, is that when we women are part of the leadership team, we tend to get different types of labels, like bossy, or pushy, or imposing, just like in a famous ad commercial, if you have seen that one. Now, these labels imply that we, women, need to downplay our personalities just to show the society or our working environment would accept us. The double standard of leadership, business leadership specifically, has been a challenge for women in whatever type of industry here in the Philippines. Women have been struggling with crafting a leadership persona that would not make us look like being too aggressive nor being weak. Women are key and vital their service provider. He said that their company believes in women's leadership. He has seen how his mother formed their company and how their company grew from a small tent backyard company to a renowned provider to different big companies worldwide. And they believe that women have the power to lead because of our innate qualities in communication, empathy, perspective, maturity, and a caring vision. We strongly believe that women process things differently, and that makes us effective leaders. A girl boss, or a lady boss, for me, is one who has a circular vision that enables one to be an effective leader. A lady boss approach to leadership is one which grows to understand the decision-making process, the subtleties of her personality and style. A lady boss is one who continuously seeks a chance to be significant and to see the world through a lens of opportunity and even see those unseen opportunities. If I was influenced by any women figure in our society, I look up to Jimmy Romero. She's the IBM CEO. The way she retools IBM is beyond compare. Yeah, I agree with gender equality. The powerful women in history have proven that they can also do whatever men can do, gracefully and passionately. Would I consider trans women as equally capable as born women in the workplace? Definitely. Trans women are as equally capable as born women in the workplace. In a society like the Philippines, we should pushing for gender equality. Encouraging gender diversity in the workplace is in fact healthy, and it's helpful in boosting bottom line performance. I will never trade my profession over Filipinos' mentality of woman or motherhood. I believe that I can do both without having to sacrifice what I love doing, which is leading and managing my own company. My name is Somera-Cadiente. I am a woman.
Personally, I think we are fortunate enough to have witnessed men and women transition over the past couple of decades. Both sexes have veered away from the stereotypical that women is the weaker sex and they should just stay at home and wait for men to provide. Women are now more abreast with what's going on in society. They are now more empowered, involved in decision making, as we have leaders in the government who are women. And we also have women who are taking on responsibilities, jobs, which are normally performed by men. However, if we are to focus on the status of women and men in the context of moral obligations, responsibilities, and what's within and what's not in the norm, or what is accepted by the society, I think that's where the difference is great between men and women. Why did I say so? For instance, in politics, Miriam Defensor Santiago, I think personally, I think she is a very strong-willed woman. I think that she's well educated and she's driven, and she tends to speak her mind regardless of what other people might think about her when she expresses her thoughts on a certain matter. Most often than not, when she expresses her opinions over a particular issue, it's being viewed as too strong, too aggressive, sometimes isolating, bossy and condescending, and sometimes she's being coined as a bitch. However, if her male counterparts do the same thing, expresses the same, opinion over that matter, it's as if the society set that as expected. Why is it that Miriam Defensor Santiago is being perceived otherwise? Is it because she's a woman? Another example would be in the entertainment industry would be Taylor Swift. She is a musician and a songwriter, and she's been writing since she was 16. Anything about her life, her experiences, and now that she's a full-grown lady, people are paying more attention on her songwriting, and they're playing detective as to what she's writing about or who she's writing about, who is she writing about. So I think that's a bit sexist, because there are a lot of male artists who are also doing the same thing, writing about their lives, writing about their experiences, their past and current relationships, but no one seems to raise a flag or red flag about it. So I think that is a bit sexist. I think what drives people to think otherwise and perceive Taylor Swift and Miriam Defensor Santiago as such is like that. I mean, the media is a strong driving force to influence people in general, or society, to how media, how television, how the newspaper, how the internet persuade people to think, people to be imprisoned by gender stereotypes. So I think if media has the ability to persuade and influence, then a change in perspective, and media is a very powerful tool in doing that. I think it all boils down to awareness. There is an ongoing campaign right now for of UN, which is he for she. The main goal of this campaign is to increase awareness about gender equality, that women and men should have equal opportunities and responsibilities. I think if this campaign can make its way to the Philippines, and if this can be spearheaded by a woman leader, and if media can be made involved, I think this will definitely ignite change, not only for women but for both sexes, in order to be freed up from gender stereotypes. I think that if women will have an awareness, if media can influence women to know more about their rights, to fight for their rights, and to gain more knowledge and awareness that they should have, they should be afforded with the same respect and right as that of men, I think that would have natural consequence, and women will be more confident to voice out their opinions, to let their thoughts be heard, and to be more empowered to make decisions, to get more involved, especially on decisions which involves the fate of this country. So definitely media can take part on that. Growing up in the province, most of the women there, they stayed at home, took care of the kids, and prepare home cooked meals for their husbands. In our family, when my father got laid up from work, my mom had to find another job. So they had to switch roles, meaning my father stayed at home and do cooking, laundry, cleaning, while my mother was the one paying off the bills and utilities. So from there, at a younger age, that opened my mind into thinking that your responsibilities, your obligations should not be restricted by your gender. And I took that with me growing up, that I can do things even though I'm a girl. I can take on responsibilities. I can do things that the society expects a man to do. Yes, in a way that every time that I applied for a job, it never occurred to me that I should only be applying to this job because I'm a woman. But it's more of, I know that I can do this and that I have the skills to vouch for it. Unfortunately, I have not had that experience because most of the companies which I applied for has diversity as their core value, meaning that even if you're a woman or a man, an LGBT, they offer equal opportunity. So no, I have never had that experience. But no, I can't think of an instance where my rights were limited because I'm a woman or I'm a girl. Working abroad, specifically here in Singapore, most of the time, if you're a woman, and this is not only happening when you are already in Singapore, but prior to leaving the country, if you're a woman and you're leaving, say in the immigration point, one of the questions that they would ask you is, what will be your job? Do you already have your work permit? Other supporting documents, which, comparing it with a guy or a man, those questions were normally not thrown at them. And it's only on the latter part that I figured that the reason that they were asking those questions is because they have this notion that most of the women who will be traveling to Singapore will either be working as a domestic helper or as a prostitute. And it saddens me that even if you are in the Philippines, they already have that notion. I mean, you are still within your country, and yet people think that if you are flying out to this country, you're already either a prostitute or a domestic helper. So I've had that experience here. There was one time when I was out with friends, and well, the weather in Singapore is pretty hot, so normally what we're wearing are like sleeveless, spaghetti tops, or shorts. And one time we were in the cab, and it was in this specific area where it's known for prostitutes. And when we were inside the cab, the cab driver was asking if we are Filipinos, and we said yes, and he had this smirk on his face, and he was laughing that, oh, are you on the job right now? I was like, what? So it was a bit embarrassing because it was like, just because we're Filipinas and we're in that particular area, then we are already being perceived as prostitute. I mean, I have nothing against them, but it just, is it because I'm a woman? If and I am Filipina that I'm being perceived immediately or as a prostitute? during the time I was thinking, what if I'm a guy or what if I'm a man? Would I be getting the same perception from another man? I wouldn't think so. I have worked with different managers. Some are women, some are men. And here abroad, I've noticed that if you're a Filipina and you are part of the global workforce, the usual feedback that you will be getting is that you are dedicated, you're focused, driven, and committed to your job. And most of the time, people think that if you're a Filipina and you are in a workplace, most of your decisions are often clouded by your emotions. I would have to say yes in some instances, but I would say that global Filipinos working in a global workforce, or Filipinos have proven themselves to be an asset, whether it's in a global avenue or in a global workplace or even in the Philippines. Filipinos are very meticulous with our jobs, and I've always, every time that they would ask, "Are you a Filipina?" I would probably say yes, I am. And most of the people that they would say they are the most caring, they are the most efficient. They always work with a smile on their face. They don't get tired of working. So that's how I think that's one of the strengths that we have as Filipinos working in the global workplace, is that one is that we're driven, we're focused, and we're dedicated, as well as we are committed, and we don't sacrifice quality of our jobs over quantity. I think as a woman, we tend to wear different hats, and I believe that we are also the best multitasker. So I don't think there should be a trade on that. I think as a woman, we can definitely do both. The good thing about women is that even though we are focused on one thing, we can still work on another thing. So I think being a woman and housewife, at the same time being part of the workforce, is something that we can do both. Those who are part of the media industry should start thinking about initiating change. I mean, we're living in a very modern environment, but despite of that, we are still governed by our stereotype beliefs that women is the weaker sex and men should have the upper hand. If a man wears nothing and just pants, he is masculine, he's hot, he's sexy. But if a woman dresses the same thing, which is lingerie, she is seen as a lesser human, a slut. The media is not helping in persuading people to think otherwise. In fact, they are boosting and feeding other people's or the society's mind into thinking that yes, she should be perceived that way and he should be perceived the other way. Media is a very powerful tool, whether it's internet, radio, print. Whatever people hear, whatever people read, whatever they see on the net, it influences and it provides a sort of notion for people to think about a certain it influences people to think, or it influences people to have this kind of generalization about either sexes. I think it's not a matter of, it's not a battle of the sexes, or it's not about who has the upper hand or not, but I think if media can help to promote equality for both sexes, in increase awareness that everyone should have equal rights, that everyone should be afforded the same respect.
I am Jessica Romano. I am a woman.